In this video, we're going to look into biology paper 1, prediction questions and answers. And these are just prediction questions for questions which can be tested in Kcse 2025 in biology paper 1. Our first question: two students are observing bacteria using identical microscopes and identical slides. Student A saw 10 bacteria and student B saw 50 bacteria. And the question A part suggests a reason why they observed different number of bacteria. 1 mark. And the other question: which of the following combinations would give a wider field of view? Eyepiece times 10 and objective lens x20, or eyepiece x10 and objective lens times 40. The reason as to why they observed different number of bacteria is because observation was made under different objective lenses. Between the two sets, the combination which would actually give a wider field of view is the eyepiece lens times 10 and objective lens times 20. And the reason is that the lower the field of magnification, the greater the field of view. So this set has a lower field of magnification, and hence it will have the greater field of view. Question 2. The diagram below represents a cell organelle. Identify the organelle, and B parts state the function of the organelle. This organelle is Golgi apparatus, and Golgi apparatus has several functions, and among these functions is the packaging and transport of glycoproteins. It also manufactures lysosomes, and another function is synthesis of enzymes. Question 3. A plastic bottle full of water was stoppered using a piece of stem obtained from a young herbaceous plant whose epidermis had been peeled off. After 24 hours, it was noted that the stopper closed the container tightly. Question A. Why was the epidermis peeled? Question B. Account for the observation made. The reason as to why the epidermis was peeled was to remove the epidermis and cuticle and to expose the cortical cells whose thin walls are flexible and would allow flexibility for fitting into the bottle opener. Question B is asking account for the observation made, and the concentration of the cell sap is hypertonic to water in the bottle. On contact with the water, the cells gain water by osmosis, become swell and become turgid, increasing the size of the stem, hence the tight fix. Question 4. Give the roles of the following in the alimentary canal. And the one is hydrochloric acid in the stomach, the other one is mucus. And question 4b, name the cells that secrete enzyme pepsin and renin in the stomach. And question C, enzyme enterokinase activates trypsinogen to trypsin. Give the origin of the enzyme. So hydrochloric acid has various roles in the alimentary canal or in the stomach. And among the roles of hydrochloric acid in the stomach is that it unfolds proteins. It also provides acidic conditions for action of stomach enzymes. And lastly, it kills harmful microorganisms that may be present in the food substance. The function of the mucus in the alimentary canal is that it forms a barrier protecting the stomach walls from being corroded by hydrochloric acid and being digested by enzymes. B part of question 4, name the cells that secrete enzyme pepsin and renin in the stomach. They are called chief peptic cells. C part of the question, the origin of enzyme enterokinase is duodenal wall. Question 5. Give the roles of the following hormones. 1. Secretin, and secondly, cholecystokinin. The role of secretin is that it stimulates the liver cells to secrete bile. The role of cholecystokinin hormone is that it stimulates the gallbladder to release bile into the duodenum. Question 6. The figure below shows some cells that form part of the mammalian respiratory tract. Question A, identify the part of the respiratory tract. Question B, give the role of the goblet cell, and give the role of the cilia. The part of the this is the trachea. The role of the goblet cells is to secrete mucus, and the role of cilia is to waft the mucus up the pharynx. Question 7. Alveoli do not collapse when we breathe out. Explain. So the reason as to why alveoli do not collapse when we breathe out is because of the presence of the surfactant fluid in them. Question 8. Name the site in the human body where parallel flow is operational. And we have two sites in the human body where we experience parallel flow, and one of them is placenta, and the other site is the kidney. Question 9. The diagram below shows the structure of gaseous exchange in a woody plant. Identify the gas that diffuse in and identify the gas that diffuse out. And question B, give two adaptations of this structure. So the gas that diffuses in is oxygen, and the gas that diffuses out is carbon dioxide. Adaptations of this structure is that it's moist surface for dissolution of respiratory gases, and another adaptation is that it's loosely packed cells for it has loosely packed cells for passage of respiratory gases. Question number 10. Explain how sunken stomata affect the rate of transpiration. And pits are formed, pits formed accumulate moisture, reducing saturation deficit, hence reducing the rate of transpiration. Question 11. A. Give two adaptations of the liver to its functions. And question B. Explain why insulin is not administered orally. One adaptation of the liver is regeneration, whereby the liver can regenerate itself after partial or complete removal or after injuries caused by toxins or viral infections. Another adaptation of the liver is metabolic zonation, whereby the liver sinusoids create gradients of oxygen, nutrients, and waste, which partition the liver's functions into distinct zones. Another adaptation of the liver is hepatocellular hypertrophy, whereby the liver can increase the size of its hepatocytes when there is an increase in functional demand. Another adaptation is organelle hyperplasia, whereby the liver can increase the number of organelles such as the endoplasmic reticulum and peroxisomes to respond to stress. Question B. The reason as to why insulin is not administered orally is that it's a protein, hence would be digested in the stomach before it reaches the liver. Question 12. Give the role of the following hormones in reproduction. 1. Prolactin, oxytocin, and relaxin. Prolactin stimulates milk production. Oxytocin stimulates contraction of the myometrium, hence expelling the fetus. Relaxin stimulates widening of the pelvic girdle, hence birth. Question 13. A. What is blood transfusion? Question 13b. State one factor to consider during blood transfusion. 13a. Blood transfusion is the transfer of blood from the donor to the circulatory system of the recipient. Question 13b. Factors to consider during blood transfusion. Among them, we have blood type, whereby the blood type should be, or the blood group should be compatible with the recipients. We also have vital signs like blood pressure. Question 14. Give reasons for the following. 1. Donated blood should be discarded after 21 days. 2. Give the reasons for Upon donation, the blood donor is usually given a drink. So the reason as to why donated blood should be discarded after 21 days is that most of the blood cells would have been destroyed. And the reason as to why upon donation the blood donor is usually given a drink is to increase the volume of blood. Question 15. A transfusion of rhesus positive blood was given to a patient rhesus negative blood. After a week, a similar transfusion was given to the same patient. What's likely to be the effect of the second transfusion? So the effect of the second transfusion would be agglutination, whereby there would be antigen-antibody reaction. Question 16. Name the form in which carbon dioxide is transported in blood, and give the role of the enzyme found in the red blood cells. So carbon dioxide is transported in blood in the form of hydrogen carbonate ions. And the role of the enzyme found in the red blood cells is to speed up conversion of carbon dioxide to weak carbonic acid. Question 17. Hemophilia is a sex-linked condition. The following pedigree shows a portion of a family in which members are hemophiliac. Use H to represent the gene for hemophilia and small h to represent the gene for non-hemophilia. In question A, identify the genotypes of the parents 1 and parent 2. Question B, what is the genotype of the offspring 4? And question C, explain the prevalence of hemophilia in males compared to females. So parent 1 will be a female with the gene for non-hemophilia on the X chromosome. And parent 2 will be a male with 2 X chromosomes, and each X chromosome has the capital H representing the gene for hemophilia. Question B, what is the genotype of the offspring 4? So the offspring 4, as you can see, will have 2 X chromosomes is a male, and with 1 X chromosome as the capital H representing the gene for hemophiliac, and the other X has a small h representing the gene for non-hemophilia. Question C, explain the prevalence of hemophilia in males compared to females. Why? We have more males with hemophilia than females, and the reason is that men have only 1 X chromosome, and therefore requires only 1 recessive gene to suffer from the condition, while females have 2 X chromosomes and therefore requires 2 recessive genes to suffer from the condition. Question 18. The diagram below represents the mammalian eye. Question A, give the role of the muscles, superior and inferior rectus muscles, lateral rectus muscles, oblique muscles. In question B, what is accommodation of the eye? And question C, describe accommodation of close objects. So question A, the role of muscles, superior and inferior rectus muscles, is to move the eye up and down. And the role of lateral rectus muscles is to move the eye left and right. The role of oblique muscles is to steady the eye in its up and down movement. Question B, what is accommodation of the eye? And accommodation of the eye is the adjustment of the eye structure to bring the image from near or far object into focus on the retina. The C part describe accommodation of close objects, and with the accommodation of close objects, the ciliary muscles contract, relaxing the tension of the suspensory ligaments, and lens curvature increases. Light rays from close objects are greatly refracted by the lens, focusing them on the retina. Question 19a. Give one difference between aerobic and anaerobic respiration. And B, give 2 importance of respiratory quotient. The difference between aerobic and anaerobic respiration is that aerobic respiration requires oxygen, while anaerobic respiration doesn't require oxygen. Importance of respiratory quotient is that it indicates the type of respiration, and another significance of respiratory quotient is that it indicates the type of substrate being oxidized. Question 20. Explain why there is increased heartbeat during vigorous exercise in man. And the reason as to there's increased heartbeat is that is to get rid of excess carbon dioxide. Question 21a. What is eutrophication? 21b. Give two effects of eutrophication. So eutrophication is the enrichment of water bodies with nutrients. And effects of eutrophication, one is that it hinders light penetration, hence reducing primary productivity. And another effect of eutrophication is that it reduces amount of oxygen dissolved in water. Question 22. Name the organisms involved in the following processes. And the first process is nitrification. The second process is denitrification. So organisms involved in nitrification are nitrosomonas. We also have nitrococcus, and we also have nitrobacter. And the organisms involved in the nitrification, we have Pseudomonas denitrificans and Diobacillus denitrificans. Question 23. Give two functions of cerebrospinal fluid. And one of the functions of cerebrospinal fluid is that it absorbs mechanical shock. Another function is that it provides oxygen and nutrients to the brain tissue. Question 24. Which parts of the brain are concerned principally with 1. Controlling body temperature, and 2. Interpreting what is seen? The part of the brain concerned with controlling body temperature is called hypothalamus. And the part of the brain concerned with interpreting what is seen is called cerebrum. Question 25. Name the structure responsible for maintaining posture and balance in the mammalian ear. And this structure is called vestibule or a semicircular canal. Question 26. What is the disadvantage of the eustachian tube? And the disadvantage of the eustachian tube is that it can provide entry of microbes causing infections. Question 27. Name the diagram below. The diagram below shows the leaves of Medicago marina during the day B and at night A. Name the responses A and B. And question B states the survival value of the response. So the responses are called photonasty, or you can also call them the monasty. The survival value of the response is that it enables the leaves to close up during the day to reduce the surface area for transpiration. Question 28. Name the cartilage found in between the bones of the vertebral column. And 28b. Give two functions of the cartilage named above. So the cartilage found in between the bones of the vertebral column is called the intervertebral disc, and it has various functions. And among these functions is that it reduces friction. Another function is that it absorbs mechanical shock, and apart from absorbing mechanical shock, it allows flexibility of the vertebral column. Question 29. Question 29. Set the type of muscle fiber found in the following regions. 1. Stomach, B. Aorta, and C. Left ventricle. The muscle fiber found in the stomach are the smooth muscle. We also have the smooth muscle in the aorta, and in the left ventricle we have cardiac muscles. Question 30. Which part of the flower develops into the following after fertilization? 1. Seed coat, and B. Fruit. So the part of the flower which develops into seed coat after fertilization is the integument. And the part of the flower which develops into a fruit after fertilization is the ovary. Question 31. A. What is a reflex arc? Question that 1b, the figure below outlines the basic components of a reflex arc in humans. Name the type of neuron labeled C, and name the part of the arc labeled A and E. A reflex arc is the path taken by a nerve impulse. The type of neuron labeled C, as you can see, is the relay neuron, and the part of the arc labeled A is the receptor organ, and the part labeled E is the effector.